Luna's fingers trembled as she adjusted the sleek obsidian headset. The device, no larger than a pair of sunglasses, held the key to unlocking the mysteries of parallel dimensions. She took a deep breath, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. At just 17, she was one of the youngest dimension explorers in the program, a prodigy handpicked for her exceptional cognitive abilities and adaptability. The lab around her hummed with energy, a symphony of advanced technology and human anticipation. Dr. Elias Chen, the lead scientist of the Dimensional Interface Project, gave her a reassuring nod from behind the control panel. "Remember, Luna," he said, his voice steady and calm. "No matter what you experience, it's not real in our dimension. You're safe here." Luna managed a weak smile. "I know, Dr. Chen. I'm ready." With a final deep breath, she pressed the activation button on the side of the headset. The world around her dissolved into a kaleidoscope of colors and shapes, a dizzying array of possibilities unfolding before her eyes. She felt her consciousness expand, stretching beyond the confines of her physical body and into the vast unknown of parallel realities. The first dimension she encountered was eerily similar to her own, with only subtle differences. The sky had a slight purple tinge, and the plants seemed to sway even in the absence of wind. Luna marveled at the familiarity and the strangeness, her mind struggling to process the conflicting sensations. As she navigated through this alternate reality, she noticed figures moving in the distance. They appeared human, but something about their movements seemed off, almost mechanical. Curiosity piqued. Luna moved closer, her virtual form gliding effortlessly across the landscape. The figures turned to face her, and Luna gasped. Their faces were blank, featureless expanses of skin where eyes, noses, and mouths should have been. Yet somehow, she could sense their awareness of her presence. A chill ran down her spine, and she quickly willed herself to move on to another dimension. The next reality she entered was vastly different. Gravity seemed to work in reverse, with objects and beings floating upwards instead of falling down. Luna watched in awe as entire cities drifted in the sky, tethered to the ground by impossibly long cables. The inhabitants of this world moved with grace, their bodies adapted to the unique gravitational pull. As she explored further, Luna began to notice patterns in the fabric of these dimensions. Each reality seemed to be governed by its own set of physical laws, some only slightly different from her own, others wildly divergent. She made mental notes, eager to share her observations with Dr. Chen and the rest of the team upon her return. Hours seemed to pass as Luna jumped from one dimension to another, each more fascinating than the last. In one, time flowed backwards, with people growing younger instead of older. In another, sound was visible, manifesting as vibrant colors that danced through the air with each spoken word or ambient noise. Just as Luna was beginning to feel overwhelmed by the sheer variety of realities she had witnessed, something caught her attention. A faint whisper, barely audible, seemed to call out to her from the void between dimensions. Intrigued, she focused her consciousness on the source of the sound. Suddenly, she found herself in a dimension unlike any she had encountered before. The very fabric of reality seemed to shimmer and shift, as if it were alive. Colors she had never seen before danced at the edges of her vision, and she felt a strange pressure in her mind, as if something was trying to communicate with her on a level beyond language. "Hello?" Luna called out, her voice echoing strangely in this fluid reality. "Is someone there?" The response came not in words, but in a series of images and sensations that flooded her mind. Luna saw glimpses of vast, incomprehensible structures, beings of pure energy, and concepts that defied her understanding of physics and mathematics. She felt a presence, ancient and powerful, observing her with curiosity. As quickly as it had appeared, the strange dimension vanished, leaving Luna disoriented and confused. She blinked, finding herself back in the familiar surroundings of the lab. Dr. Chen was at her side in an instant, concern etched on his face. "Luna, are you all right? Your vitals spiked for a moment there." She nodded slowly, removing the headset with shaky hands. "I'm fine, I think. But Dr. Chen, I saw something. Incredible." I'm not sure how to describe it. As Luna recounted her experience to the team, she couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. The encounter with the strange intelligence had left an indelible mark on her psyche, a sense of something vast and unknowable lurking just beyond the edges of her perception. In the days that followed, Luna threw herself into analyzing the data from her dimensional exploration. She worked tirelessly, often forgetting to eat or sleep, driven by an insatiable curiosity about the nature of the multiverse. Her colleagues noticed the change in her behavior, but attributed it to the excitement of discovery. It wasn't until a week later that the first signs of trouble appeared. Luna was in the middle of a routine dimensional jump when she encountered another explorer, her friend and fellow prodigy, Alex. They had trained together and shared a friendly rivalry, always pushing each other to new heights of discovery. "Alex!" Luna called out, relieved to see a familiar face in the swirling chaos of interdimensional space. "I'm so glad to see you. You won't believe what I've discovered." But as Alex turned to face her, Luna recoiled in horror. His eyes were different, filled with a strange, swirling energy that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly light. When he spoke, his voice had an eerie, echoing quality that sent shivers down Luna's spine. "Luna," Alex said, his tone flat and devoid of emotion. "You've seen it too, haven't you? The truth beyond the veil?" Luna backed away, her mind racing. "Alex, what happened to you? What are you talking about?" A cold smile spread across Alex's face. "We've been blind, Luna. All this time we thought we were the explorers, the discoverers, but we're not. We're just pawns in a game we can't even begin to comprehend." Before Luna could respond, Alex vanished, leaving her alone in the void between dimensions. Shaken, she terminated the jump and returned to the lab, her mind reeling from the encounter. Dr. Chen noticed her distress immediately. "Luna, what's wrong? Did something happen during the jump?" She hesitated, unsure of how much to reveal. I saw Alex, but he was different, changed. I think something might have happened to him during one of his explorations." Dr. Chen's brow furrowed with concern. "That's troubling. Alex hasn't reported in for his last 2 scheduled jumps. We've been trying to contact him, but with no success." A sense of dread settled in the pit of Luna's stomach. She couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister was at work, something connected to the strange intelligence she had encountered. Over the next few weeks, more reports of changed explorers began to surface. Dimension jumpers returned from their expeditions with altered personalities, speaking in riddles and exhibiting bizarre behavior. Some claimed to have gained new, impossible abilities, while others seemed to have lost touch with reality entirely. The Dimensional Interface Project was thrown into chaos. Government officials and military personnel swarmed the facility, demanding answers and threatening to shut down the program. Dr. Chen worked tirelessly to understand what was happening to the explorers, but every new piece of data only deepened the mystery. Luna found herself at the center of the storm. As one of the few explorers who had encountered the strange intelligence without being drastically altered, she was bombarded with questions and subjected to countless tests. But even as she cooperated with the investigations, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was missing something crucial. Late one night, as she pored over data in her small office, Luna received an unexpected visitor. Alex materialized in the corner of the room, his form flickering like a hologram. Luna jumped to her feet, her heart pounding. "Alex, what are you doing here?" His eyes, still swirling with that otherworldly energy, fixed on her. "I came to warn you, Luna. They're coming. The ones we awakened with our meddling in the multiverse, and they're hungry." Luna's mind raced, trying to make sense of his words. "Who's coming, Alex? What are you talking about?" "The architects," Alex whispered, his voice filled with a mixture of awe and fear. "The beings who shape reality itself. We've caught their attention, and now they want to reshape our world in their image." Before Luna could ask more questions, Alex vanished as suddenly as he had appeared. She stood there, frozen, for several long moments, trying to process what she had just heard. The architects? Beings who shape reality? It sounded like something out of a science fiction novel, and yet, she thought back to her encounter with the strange intelligence. the incomprehensible visions it had shown her. Could it be that they had stumbled upon something far beyond their understanding? Something that posed a threat, not just to the explorers, but to their entire reality? Luna knew she couldn't keep this information to herself. She rushed to Dr. Chen's office, her mind racing with the implications of Alex's warning. As she burst through the door, she found the scientist slumped over his desk, his eyes glazed over and unfocused. Dr. Chen? Luna approached cautiously, a sense of dread growing in the pit of her stomach. Are you all right? The scientist slowly raised his head, and Luna gasped. The same swirling energy she had seen in Alex's eyes now filled Dr. Chen's gaze. When he spoke, his voice had the same eerie, echoing quality. Ah, Luna, I'm glad you're here. I've had the most remarkable breakthrough. You see, we've been going about this all wrong. We shouldn't be exploring the multiverse. We should be reshaping it. Luna backed away, her hand fumbling for the door handle. Dr. Chen, this isn't you. Something's happened to you, just like Alex and the others. We need to get you help. A cold smile spread across Dr. Chen's face. Help? My dear, I've never felt better. I've seen the truth, Luna. The architects have shown me the way, and soon they'll show everyone. As Dr. Chen rose from his chair, Luna turned and fled, her heart pounding in her chest. She ran through the corridors of the facility, her mind racing. How many others had been affected? Was she the only one left unchanged? She burst into the main lab, startling the handful of researchers working late. We need to shut it down, she shouted. The dimensional interface, all of it, it's not safe. The researchers stared at her in confusion, but before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Red emergency lights bathed the lab in an eerie glow as a computerized voice announced, Warning, dimensional anomaly detected. All personnel evacuate immediately. Chaos erupted as people rushed to secure equipment and data. Luna fought against the tide of panicking researchers, trying to make her way to the main control panel. She had to shut down the interface before it was too late. As she reached the panel, a hand grabbed her arm. She spun around to find Alex standing there, his eyes now blazing with that otherworldly energy. You can't stop it, Luna, he said, his voice resonating with power. The convergence has already begun. The architects are coming, and they will remake this world in their image. Luna struggled against his grip. Alex, please, this isn't right. We don't know what these beings are or what they want. We can't just let them reshape our reality. For a moment, she thought she saw a flicker of doubt in Alex's eyes, but it was quickly replaced by that cold, alien determination. You'll understand soon enough, Luna. Everyone will. Suddenly, the air in the lab began to shimmer and distort. Reality itself seemed to bend and warp, as if the fabric of space-time was being stretched to its breaking point. Luna watched in horror as shapes began to form in the air, impossible geometries and structures that hurt her eyes to look at. The architects were arriving. In that moment of distraction, Luna managed to break free from Alex's grip. She lunged for the control panel, her fingers flying over the keys as she initiated the emergency shutdown sequence. Warnings flashed across the screen, but she ignored them, focused solely on her task. Just as she was about to press the final confirmation, a wave of energy swept through the lab. Luna felt it pass through her body, leaving a tingling sensation in its wake. She turned to see the air filled with swirling ethereal forms, the architects in all their incomprehensible glory. Time seemed to slow as one of the beings turned its attention to her. In that moment, Luna felt the full weight of its ancient, alien consciousness pressing against her mind. Images and concepts flooded her awareness, threatening to overwhelm her sanity. She saw the birth and death of universes, the intricate dance of probability and possibility that shaped the multiverse. She glimpsed the architect's true nature, beings of pure thought and energy, existing beyond the constraints of time and space. And she understood their purpose. The architects were not malevolent, not in any way that human minds could comprehend. They were simply curious, drawn to the ripples in reality caused by humanity's dimensional explorations. But their very presence was changing the fabric of Luna's world, reshaping it in ways that defied the laws of physics. With the last of her willpower, Luna fought against the flood of alien knowledge. She turned back to the control panel and, with a trembling hand, pressed the final key to initiate the shutdown. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The dimensional interface powered down with a deafening hum, and the shimmering distortions in the air began to fade. The architects, cut off from their point of entry, seemed to hesitate. Luna felt a moment of hope. Had she succeeded in stopping the invasion? But then she noticed something strange. The shutdown hadn't completely closed the rift between dimensions. A small tear remained, pulsing with energy. And through that tear, more architects were squeezing through, their forms adapting and changing as they entered our reality. Luna realized with a sinking heart that it was too late. The initial breach had weakened the barriers between dimensions too much. Even with the interface shut down, the architects now had a foothold in this world. As the beings spread throughout the lab, touching and examining everything with their ethereal appendages, Luna saw her fellow researchers changing. Some, like Alex and Dr. Chen, had their eyes fill with that swirling energy. Others underwent more dramatic transformations, their bodies warping and shifting into new, impossible forms. Luna felt the pressure of the architect's consciousness pressing against her mind once more. But this time, she was prepared. Drawing on some deep well of strength she didn't know she possessed, she pushed back, maintaining her sense of self even as the alien thoughts threatened to overwhelm her. In that mental struggle, she received a flash of insight. The architects weren't trying to conquer or destroy, they were trying to understand. In their unfathomable alien logic, reshaping reality and altering the inhabitants of this world was simply their way of learning, of experiencing something new. But Luna knew that their actions, however well-intentioned, would mean the end of humanity as she knew it. The world would be transformed into something unrecognizable, its inhabitants changed into beings that were no longer human in any meaningful sense. She had to find a way to communicate with the architects, to make them understand the harm they were causing. But how could she possibly convey such complex ideas to beings so fundamentally different from herself? As she grappled with this problem, Luna became aware of a change in her perception. The flood of alien knowledge from her earlier contact with the architects had left its mark. She found she could sense the ebb and flow of dimensional energies, could almost see the intricate web of possibilities that connected different realities. An idea began to form in her mind. If she could use this new awareness to navigate the dimensional currents, perhaps she could find a way to seal the breach and guide the architects back to their own realm. But such an attempt would be incredibly risky. One wrong move, and she could lose herself in the void between dimensions. Or worse, draw the attention of even more powerful entities lurking in the multiverse. As Luna weighed her options, she noticed Alex watching her. His eyes still swirled with that alien energy, but there was something else there now, a glimmer of his old self fighting to reassert control. "Luna," he said, his voice strained as if speaking took great effort. "You have to stop them. You're the only one who can." Luna felt a surge of hope at these words. If Alex was able to fight against the architect's influence, even for a moment, perhaps there was still a chance to save humanity. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for what she was about to attempt. Drawing on her newfound awareness of dimensional energies, Luna reached out with her mind, trying to sense the currents of reality flowing. Luna reached out with her mind, trying to sense the currents of reality flowing around her. At first, the sensation was overwhelming, like trying to drink from a fire hose. But gradually, she began to discern patterns in the chaos, pathways leading to other dimensions. Focusing on the tear in reality, Luna could feel the energy pulsing around it, the fabric of space-time straining under the pressure. With careful mental probing, she began to manipulate the dimensional currents, trying to guide them in a way that would seal the breach. It was like trying to redirect a raging river with her bare hands, but slowly, painstakingly, she made progress. As she worked, Luna became acutely aware of the architect's growing interest in her actions. She could feel their vast consciousnesses turning towards her, probing at her mind with increasing intensity. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she struggled to maintain her concentration. The alien thoughts pressed against her mental defenses, threatening to overwhelm her. But Luna pushed back, drawing strength from her determination to save her world. Suddenly, she felt a shift in the energy around her. The breach began to close, the edges of reality knitting back together. The architects still in the lab seemed to grow agitated, their ethereal forms flickering and distorting. Luna pressed her advantage, redoubling her efforts to seal the rift. As she did so, she tried to project her thoughts towards the architects, attempting to communicate her intentions. "Please," she thought, focusing all her will on the message. "You must leave. Your presence here is destroying our world. We are not ready for this kind of change." To her surprise, she felt a response, not in words, but in a series of complex emotions and abstract concepts. The architects were curious, confused, and somewhat regretful. They hadn't fully understood the impact of their actions on this reality. Luna seized on this moment of understanding. She showed the architects images of Earth, of human civilization in all its complexity and fragility. She conveyed the idea that humanity needed time to develop, to reach a point where they could interact with beings like the architects without being fundamentally altered. As the last of the breach sealed itself, Luna felt a shift in the architect's presence. The beings began to withdraw, their forms becoming less substantial as they retreated to their own dimension. The lab around her shimmered and warped as reality reasserted itself. Luna watched in amazement as her transformed colleagues began to revert to their human forms. The swirling energy faded from their eyes, replaced by confusion and disorientation. As the last traces of the architect's presence faded, Luna felt a wave of exhaustion wash over her. She had done it. She had closed the breach and convinced the architects to leave. But at what cost? The lab was in chaos, equipment destroyed, and data lost. The researchers who had been transformed were disoriented and traumatized, struggling to come to terms with what had happened to them. And Luna herself felt changed. The contact with the architects had left its mark on her mind. She could still sense the dimensional currents flowing around her, could still perceive aspects of reality that were hidden to others. As the emergency teams rushed into the lab, Luna sank to her knees, overwhelmed by the enormity of what had just occurred. She had saved the world from an incomprehensible threat, but she knew that nothing would ever be the same again. In the days and weeks that followed, Luna found herself at the center of intense scrutiny. Government agencies and scientific institutions from around the world wanted to know exactly what had happened in that lab and how she had managed to repel the interdimensional invasion. But how could she explain something that she herself barely understood? The memories of her encounter with the architects were already beginning to fade, like a dream upon waking. All she was left with was a vague sense of the vast, incomprehensible nature of the multiverse and the knowledge that humanity was not alone in it. The Dimensional Interface Project was officially shut down, its equipment dismantled, and its data classified at the highest levels. Many of the researchers, still struggling with the psychological effects of their transformation, were placed on indefinite leave. Luna, however, couldn't let go of what she had experienced. She knew that the architect's retreat was only temporary. Sooner or later, humanity would once again attract the attention of beings from other dimensions. And when that happened, they needed to be prepared. Despite the official ban on dimensional research, Luna began to work in secret. Using her newfound abilities, she explored the boundaries between realities, carefully mapping the dimensional currents and searching for signs of other intelligent life. She knew the risks were enormous. One wrong move could once again tear open the fabric of reality, inviting disaster. But she also knew that ignorance was no longer an option. Humanity needed to understand the true nature of the multiverse if they were to survive in it. As months passed, Luna's explorations yielded fascinating results. She discovered dimensions where the laws of physics operated in wildly different ways, realities where time flowed backwards or sideways, and worlds populated by beings of pure energy or abstract thought. But more importantly, she began to understand the intricate web of connections that linked these different realities. She learned to navigate the currents of interdimensional space, to slip between worlds without disrupting the delicate balance of the multiverse. Throughout her journey, Luna was haunted by the memory of the architects. She knew they were out there, watching, waiting. And she knew that one day, they would return. As her knowledge and abilities grew, Luna realized that she was becoming something more than human. The constant exposure to interdimensional energies was changing her on a fundamental level. She could perceive aspects of reality that were invisible to others, could manipulate the fabric of space-time in ways that defied conventional physics. But with this power came a heavy burden of responsibility. Luna understood that she might be humanity's only defense against the vast and incomprehensible forces that existed beyond the veil of ordinary reality. One night, as she sat in her makeshift lab, poring over the data from her latest dimensional scan, Luna felt a familiar presence brush against her mind. Her heart raced as she recognized the vast alien consciousness of an architect. But this time there was no sense of invasion or threat. Instead, she felt a sense of curiosity, of tentative communication. The architect was reaching out, trying to understand. Luna took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. She knew that this moment could change everything, for her, for humanity, for the very fabric of reality itself. As she opened her mind to the architect's presence, Luna felt a surge of hope. Perhaps, with patience and understanding, humans and interdimensional beings could learn to coexist. Perhaps she could be the bridge between worlds, the translator who could help humanity take its first steps into the vast, strange, and wonderful multiverse. The future was uncertain, filled with both danger and possibility. But as Luna began her conversation with the architect, she knew one thing for certain: the greatest adventure of her life, and perhaps of all human history, was just beginning.